Hello, everybody. Welcome back to You Guys Made Me Inc., the #1 Finding Your Will podcast on the internet. My name is Vaughn. This is Chase.
Your name is Vaughn? What? Since when? I'm fairly certain I was born with that name.
That's the joke, man. It's the joke.
See, you have
Okay.
you have like the pinned tweet and you live in the reality of go down with the ship when it comes to bits, and I burn down the ship when it comes to bits. Like,
Yeah,
I'm the one who fucks it up.
My pinned tweet is literally commit to the bit.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I do enjoy that sentiment because a lot of people give up immediately, and it's kind of depressing.
Yeah,
And
you gotta
then
commit, man.
there's me that's just like in the sailboat, like drilling a hole slowly but surely
Like, I'm
until that
sinking
bit
these,
has sunk.
I'm sinking these fuckers down.
Yep, that's my ultimate goal in life, is to sink bits.
Okay,
Really?
so I guess we're going by our real names. My name is Chase. That is Vaughn. And we are the guys from Fanboy Talks. Follow
Totally
us on
thought
Twitter.
you forgot the name.
Subscribe to us.
You can
Yeah.
follow me at Hyde Legion. Not exactly sure what Chase is nowadays.
It changes quite a bit.
Some would say extremely often.
I like,
Me, I would say that.
like
say
I
that all
said,
the
dude,
time.
you just gotta commit to the bit. And my
The bit is
changes
once
a
a
lot.
week you change it.
Yeah.
Alright, okay. That
Yeah.
totally makes sense. Alright, so are you ready for some hard-hitting topics for
I'm
today's You Guys Made Me Inc?
very ready.
I don't think you're ready enough. Cause this is gonna get crazy.
I am ready, though.
It's not about like tax reform or anything like that. So the first topic of today's episode, what I wanted to talk about, was something that I think affects pretty much everybody, us included, obviously, because we post to the site, but a bunch of big YouTubers are essentially making the preparations to leave YouTube. So, like, Boogie did a video after Philip DeFranco did a video about how, essentially Phil is trying to leave YouTube. He's launching his own news network, and he's trying to find essentially a different platform to upload to. And Boogie initially uploaded his video about Phil's video, which is kind of weird and meta. He supposedly uploaded it on Twitter first, and then YouTube is like a secondary thing, which I think is really interesting. So you're somebody who like lives on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube, but you like live on YouTube. You're ingrained in the culture. How do you feel about this big shakeup because of like the fucking YouTube AI demonetizing and essentially like fucking all of their big creators?
One, I'm glad that this is not our income.
Oh hell yeah. This is like a
So-
volatile system.
Yeah.
Even if this eventually becomes something we can live off of, everyone says not to live just purely off of like AdSense and stuff like that. They're like, have merch, have like sponsors, have all these other things on top of your like the money you make from ads.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's unfortunate for these guys, and the reason why YouTube's great, you know, in quotes, is because it's an all-in-one. It has everything, not everything, but like everyone you know that you like on the internet is probably on YouTube.
More than likely. And I mean, your original statement holds up too. It is kind of an all-in-one. In a way, it's a social media experience, and in another way, it's also you upload your videos and you can do live streaming. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's just so easy that if I want to, I can watch a Call of Duty video, which I don't really want to watch a Call of Duty video, but I can if I want to, and then I can go watch a Paragon video, which I can cry to, like...
You can cry at that burning, like, dead carcass.
Yeah.
Not only is it dead, it's also burning.
Okay. Well,
Yep.
at least it's doing something productive.
I just really like to rub it in that it's dead.
Yeah.
It has now gone downhill. So, we're both big fans of Philip DeFranco, and I think it's kind of weird, like, him leaving YouTube. He's kind of like a big, like, he's a YouTube vet, so him possibly leaving is a pretty huge deal, especially if you watch the video and it talks about the shit that happens. Essentially, like, Google's not alerting his subscribers of his uploads, and he specifically, like, tells people, he's like, yeah, you might not have noticed that I uploaded the past, like, 2 or 3 days, so make sure you go check out the actual channel.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say, man, because it sucks, because really it's not doing great. It's really, like, messing up a lot, and people, I've heard this argument a lot. Like, I follow a dude on Twitter called his name is Dave Rubin, and I follow him on Twitter and on YouTube, obviously, but he has been posting stuff like, man, why is YouTube essentially being so freaking shitty? Like, why can't it just do all this stuff? And then people were like, it's been doing this for a long time. It's not just your channel. Get over it. It's like, no, we shouldn't be getting over it. It's like, YouTube is Google is the biggest company in the world, probably one of them. They should be able to fix this simple notification thing.
Also, I think it's kind of weird that people are like, oh, just get over it. And it's like, you understand if these people just got over it, nothing would ever change. Like, these are large creators. If it didn't change for them, smaller creators would never get a chance. Like, I don't know if we actually have any, like, subscribers that rang the bell or whatever, but we'd never, like, take off. We'll never get any recognition for what we do unless people get to see our videos. That's the whole point of it, is to try to get on, like, trending and stuff like that, so you gain more subscribers and you get to make more content. So yeah. People just being like, oh, get over it, is like, okay, it's literally their livelihood, so they can't really get over it.
And
it's their job.
And like you were saying, it's unfortunate that there's so many people out there saying, oh, just get over it, when, no, that's not how change happens, you know?
Yeah, everybody's all about, like, oh, just get over it, or, oh, why didn't somebody do this? And in retrospect, it's really easy to say that, but when it's happening to you, it's never something nice. Like, I don't know. It seems like the world is very much devoid of empathy nowadays. Everybody's just like, it doesn't really affect me, so why do I care? It's like, because eventually it could affect you, so, I mean, that's not really how empathy works, but if you're gonna be selfish, eventually it might be you on that end.
Yeah, like you're saying, I just don't understand it, how people can just be okay with stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever get it. I thought this topic was gonna take us a lot farther, but we're like 10 minutes in, and we basically run this topic into the ground.
Yeah, not much we could really. I mean, it sucks, and they should fix it. It's been, like I was saying, it's been happening for a long time, but I don't know.
There's nothing really we could ever do to change it. I mean, shit. We've got like 61 subscribers. Nobody gives a fuck about us. With the exception of like one person.
61. We're cruising, dude. We're pretty much PewDiePie now.
Get to 1,000 by the end of this year. That's what I'm hoping for. So my second topic I want to talk about today, and obviously you might not have anything to say about it because you haven't played it yet, but I wanted to give some just brief impressions on God of War. We did the same thing when you picked up Far Cry 5, which I hadn't played, but obviously I follow games like a freak, so I knew some things about it. But God of War, I would say definitely not blown out of proportions. People's like what people love about it. Immediately coming into it, there are a lot of questions that I have, and they're slowly being answered. I've only actually played like 3 hours, and I'm gonna try not to get into any spoilers in this.
Not even one.
I'm not even gonna try to get into one spoiler. But just small questions that I have initially just immediately come, like, I mean, it's not really a spoiler because I'm not gonna tell you what happens, but you find out how Kratos gets his Leviathan axe, essentially, and I was like, oh wow, I've been wondering that this whole fucking time, not only where his Blades of Chaos is, where I still don't fucking know, but how he got the Leviathan axe, and it's like, boom, answers the question, like, maybe 3-4 hours into the game. So I have all these questions about this world because they're so interesting, and it subtly answers them, which is really, really cool, instead of making it like a big in-your-face moment, like a fucking cutscene of somebody giving him this axe or him taking it out of somebody, like the old God of War games when he would get like new weapons. Which I do actually enjoy that there's only one weapon at the moment. I'm assuming you're gonna get more when you get closer to the end, or you're gonna get more while you go through the game. But I haven't. I mean, I don't know. I very much enjoy the Leviathan axe. It's with Sony and the developers of Days Gone talking about how the motorcycle in this game, which trust me, I'll get to how it comes together. This isn't just a random tangent. With how Sony talks about how Days Gone, the motorcycle in itself is a character, that's how I feel how like the Leviathan axe is. It's like its own character. Sure, it's an inanimate object and it has literally no personality. You can change it and all sorts of stuff. It still is like its own character. It's so interesting and it changes in really interesting ways, and it has its own backstory that I really, really enjoy. Plus, it's used to basically, like, fix every puzzle, which is really awesome. And it makes you... Everyone says this, but it really does make you feel like Thor. Like, the sound it makes when you throw it and retrieve it is really, really cool. And I always loved the... there's this part in, I think, the original Thor, where he, like, throws his hammer, he throws Mjolnir, and it hits a bunch of people, and then he retrieves it and hits them in the back. And I thought that was so cool because the same thing can happen with the Leviathan axe. I'll throw the fucking Leviathan axe, totally miss somebody, and then just retrieve it, and it ends up like hitting them in the back, and I kill him. And I'm like, God damn it, that was so fucking cool. It's such an interesting thing, and just the overall gameplay is really, really fun. A lot of people have also spoken about how you can fight with your hands. You technically, I guess, you fight with your hands and the shield, but it's still super, super cool. And I really, really enjoy this game so far. I don't want to get too much into the relationship between Kratos and Atreus. It's super interesting though, as kind of like a weird segue to another topic I have, but overall definitely recommend picking up God of War. It's a really, really good game. By the time this posts, I think we might have my unboxing for the collector's edition up, but I'm not 100% sure, so just check out the YouTube channel the Monday that this posts, and the day after it should be there. But I really liked it. I'm editing it right now. What I would like to talk about, and this comes into God of War, is kind of like, I guess, media outlets, not necessarily. I mean, I definitely didn't think this was a thing, but they seem to not really take games seriously if they're not, like, media outlets that cover games. Like, I was on Twitter, and in their moments, it's like God of War is surprisingly relatable take on parenting. And it's like, yeah, it's about a father and a son. I don't understand why that's so surprising that it's so relatable. Like, based on the older God of War games, I could get it, where Kratos was just like a rage monster, but now it's about him and his son, and I think it's just odd that they're like, oh, it's surprisingly relatable. It's like, is it that big of a surprise, though? Like, The Last of Us is very relatable, and Joel has literally no relation to Ellie, and he essentially becomes her father figure. Like, that's a thing that happens in video games now. Their characters are very fleshed out.
I think that the reason why all this stuff is like, oh, so relatable is because these outlets are trying to be so relatable. But all they're doing is, and I don't know if they're noticing it, but they're just being fucking dumb.
Video games or the people?
No, the people that are reviewing them.
I mean, it depends on who you're talking about. I don't know about
No, it doesn't
reviewing.
depend. Every time they review a game, they're like, whoa, this is crazy. You're like, no, it's not. We fucking saw it coming from a mile away.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
When they're reviewing it, like, man, I can't believe that this game about this father and his son is so relatable about a father and a son. Oh, are you fucking dumb?
Yeah, you're like, that's literally what the entire game about. I don't understand why it's surprising that it's relatable.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever understand it. That's what I mean. It seems like...
Well, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to be so relatable, you know?
Who? The people who are covering
the people
games?
who are covering it. They're like, oh man, this is great. And you're like, you're not being relatable by saying something's relatable. You're being unrelatable because you're being dumb.
Yeah. To us, they're being dumb, but they're trying to be relatable to, like, I guess mainstream people. I don't know.
Or
Games
it's
are pretty
like
mainstream.
Or it's like something like that to be clickbaity, like, and not necessarily like, you know, the clickbait, like doing some weird shit with my 14-year-old sister. Not like that weird shit.
That was so uncomfortable.
It was, but like, man, this is so relatable. And then people will click on it and they're like, oh, this game about this son and father is relatable. That's fucking odd.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's just like how movies that have storylines that are relatable to characters and people. Oh my gosh.
I had a father. I am a son. That's so relatable. Whoa.
Oh my god.
It's like you're just being dumb.
I love that you just categorize it as they're just being dumb.
Well, that's all it is.
I don't want to talk more about it. They're just being dumb.
But you know what? If it's getting them clicks, more power to them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, we're never going to get probably real fucking game journalism, like actual, just stick to the fucking game.
Don't bring any outside, like, influences into it.
Yeah. But
yeah, that is
never happen.
That is pretty depressing. I don't know. It's come up a lot recently with games, and I think we talked about it with Far Cry, is people bringing, like, not necessarily, I mean, one, what they think a game should be instead of reviewing what the game is, and two, bringing their own viewpoints into a game. So, like, in Far Cry, people were annoyed that it didn't go out of its way to, like, offend people of the quote-unquote, like, alt-right. It's like, alright, I'm pretty sure they just made the game that they wanted to make. I don't think they made the game that you wanted.
And that's a problem in itself, is that people, and that's the problem with our world, to be totally honest. Not our world, our country. Our country's all super divided because people want other people to get offended, when it's like, why can't we just get along? We have differing views, yes, but why can't we just get along?
Yeah, what's the point of, like... Yeah, I understand that. We don't have to fight over it. We could just be content with everyone having different opinions.
Yeah, but nope. People gotta fucking yell and scream and get all defensive and start attacking people, and like the fact that they wanted it to be offensive to someone that they didn't agree with, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, the worst part is, like, see, this is what I mean, people being devoid of empathy, which, I mean, given certain situations, I don't think you should be empathetic. Just, like, I don't know, I don't empathize with Hitler or something, but that's obviously completely different. But it's these, like, they don't want to be empathetic. They're just like, oh yeah, I disagree with them, I think they're terrible, so I really don't give a fuck what they have to say, and I don't care if they get offended. But when these personalities get offended, they're like, oh shit, we gotta blow this shit up, we gotta fuck shit up, it's time to revolt, to boycott, to do whatever. Yeah. That's what I loved about the H3H3 thing that happened, like, last week, was his response, and he's like, just because you get offended doesn't mean something's inherently offensive. I was
what he really said is he got a damn microphone and yelled into the camera. Just because you got offended by the joke doesn't mean the joke's offensive.
Yeah, I loved that.
that was really
awesome.
Funny, dude.
That makes me really want to buy a megaphone. Even though I swear it's going to damage sound equipment, and I'm really just, everybody's going to hate me in my apartment complex, megaphones are dope.
But it's just so funny that you're sitting there and he just pulls this up and you're like, oh, what is he about to do?
He's just like, suck my ass. And then you're done. Just puts it away, video's over.
Yeah,
you gotta respect really YouTubers who, instead of, like, just getting down and dirty on Twitter, they basically post, like, a video response. They're like, yeah, I put the time and effort into crafting this video just to tell you to fuck off.
Yeah, that's
because it's really easy to tweet.
That's called dedication.
Yeah, that's dedication to the job. You gotta enjoy those people. I mean, hopefully they're not fucking leaving YouTube or whatever. I don't know. With coming back to our first topic, will you like? I will, but will you continue to track these like YouTubers if they leave YouTube, or like if let's say they go to like fucking Twitter or wherever? I don't know where they're gonna go, but will you continue to track them?
I mean, I'd love for them to just all stay on the same platform. I don't care if it's YouTube or I don't care, but I would prefer if they all stayed on the same platform. You know, I don't want to have to get like 9 different apps to decide what I want to watch. Because most of the time, what I want to watch has nothing to do with anything. A lot of time, like recently, I've been watching a lot of Pokemon Nuzlocks. Do you know what that is?
What the fuck is that? Nuzlocke?
Oh, they're called Soul Link Nuzlocks, and what they are is you have 2 people playing, and you know they're like friends or whatever. They're collabing, and every Pokemon, there's a set of rules. Like every and it's randomized. So like all the starters are randomized.
Mm-hmm.
All the Pokemon like on each route are randomized. So you could literally get a Charizard as your starter, and then run into a Lugia in the first route, you know.
That's pretty interesting. Is it like a challenge or something?
Yeah, it's a challenge. And the challenge, like the challenge is you may only catch the first Pokemon you encounter on each route. So Route 30 or whatever, you can only catch and it has to be the first Pokemon you see.
Yeah, you can't cheat and fucking. You're like, first one's a Wurmple, second one's a Lugia. You're like, God damn it, Wurmple.
Yeah, and so there's both of you. So the Nuzlocks inherently are just one person, but you do the Soul Link, and the Soul Link comes in to where our starter Pokemon, let's say you and I are doing it, our starter Pokemon are linked together. If mine dies in battle, yours dies as well, and we have to get rid of them.
That's fucked up. That's a weird ass challenge to do.
But it's super fun to watch, and like you can through your entire team, you can only have one primary water, one primary fire, through both people's team. You know.
Yeah.
So it's like and let's say we both start out with Pokemon, whatever, and our first encounter, mine's a male. I don't know, but and you know you still don't have the guarantee to catch him. Mine's a male Charmander, and you run in and you get a male Larvitar or whatever. But if I did mine first, you have to exit and you have to find a female.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's super fun, you know. But like I don't know how I totally got off that tangent, but. But like recently, like the past 2 days, I've been watching those.
That's pretty interesting.
And I didn't really mean to watch those. It was just like, am I recommended? And I was like, ooh, I'm gonna watch these, you know.
Interesting enough, this obviously comes back to the topic is that you saw something and recommended. You saw something like just on your feed for no reason, and you clicked on it.
I'm subscribed to this account.
Well, still, it's yeah, you're subscribed to them, but it recommended it for you and you clicked on it, whereas these YouTubers are talking about how their videos are not showing up in recommended. They're subscribed, but people just aren't seeing them. They just aren't there.
And that'll happen too, but I kind of like do it myself sometimes, where I'll start watching a whole bunch of these Nuzlocks, and then I can't even think of like another like not brand, but like game thing I watch. Let's say, and I don't watch this, but like a Call of Duty. Let's say, and then I get really watching into Call of Duty, and then it floods my recommendations so that the Nuzlocks never show up again. Until I'm like, oh man, I want to watch a Nuzlocke. A few months later, that happens to me all the time.
Yeah, that happens to me quite often too. I watch like 3 videos about upcoming MMOs, and now my entire feed is about upcoming MMOs. I'm like, oh, cool. That's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, you watch 2 videos on Idle Heroes, and now my thing is flooded with Idle Heroes videos.
Which I would definitely recommend. If anybody's out there, it's free. It's a really fun game. Like, it doesn't take that much to play. You just kind of sit there and collect shit and, like, upgrade your team.
Yeah, that's pretty much all it comes down to. It's kind of a waiting game, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense it's called Idle Heroes, because it just sits there. Like, it idles forever, and then you come back to it and you play for a little while.
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely makes sense. It's a good game. I really enjoy it. You got me into it, and you got a friend into, one of our friends into it, and it completely just kind of blew things up. Did you ever play Firewatch?
Is that the one that PewDiePie was getting in a whole tussle with?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Don't know. I think I did, yeah.
Firewatch is it's like a walking simulator essentially made by Campo Santo.
Oh,
a lot of people.
I just watched PewDiePie play it, and then he got like people were getting all mad and stuff.
Why? I remember it being an issue, but I can't.
Well, it wasn't.
Why.
It wasn't at the time he was doing it, but like I watched him do it, and then later he like said the N-word or whatever, and then the company.
Oh yeah, Campo Santo like tried to get him to remove his video or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, so Campo Santo, the developers of Firewatch, were recently bought by Valve. They were acquired by Valve. So Valve is the parent company of like Steam. That's Valve. They made Left 4 Dead and Half-Life.
Is that Half-Life 3 confirmed?
Oh yeah, definitely. Campo Santo is gonna make fucking Half-Life 3.
Yeah,
That's
why
what's
not?
gonna happen right now. I mean, they make walking simulators generally, but why not make Half-Life 3? They're making, I'm really interested to see how this affects, I think it's called In the Valley of the Gods, but I'm not 100% certain. Is their new game coming out that's like, two architects like exploring like an Egyptian ruin, which really looks cool. I loved Firewatch. People's main criticism of the game was that its ending was like kind of predictable. Like, I mean, it was, but it wasn't. It was predictable if you thought about it, but the whole game was misleading, because in the end it's like, it's something you're like, oh, I mean, yeah, I guess that could happen. Everyone is like thinking it's gonna be a fucking Yeti the whole time or some shit. And now they're making this new game. They have amazing art styles. I love Campo Santo. I thought Firewatch was fantastic, and it has one of my favorite beginnings to a game, because it just starts off the game immediately by asking you a couple of questions just to get some background info on basically like your adventure, and it gets so interesting.
Is it kind of like the I think they're like the Pokemon Ranger games or whatever?
No,
Mystery Dungeon?
Yeah, the Mystery Dungeon games where it asks you personal questions and then it creates a Pokemon.
Yeah.
No, it basically has you like create your character's backstory. So it's like, oh, you had a dog. What's your dog's name? What's its breed? Oh, what happened? Kind of a thing. It's kind of weird, but the story unfolds, and then it doesn't do a whole lot with that. While you're just like randomly talking throughout the game, that kind of stuff will come up, but it's nice to see it come up. But I'm really excited to see how this new game comes out and to see what's going to happen after that. Because with Valve like purchasing them, I mean, pretty much anything can happen now.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going to have like a limited amount of resources. Beforehand, they're an indie developer, and now they're basically part of this like fucking huge company.
I hope they hold true to their vision, though. You see it a lot happen where it's like,
yeah, they don't just sell out.
Yeah, that happens.
I mean, a lot of people think that BioWare essentially sold out when they were purchased by EA, but from what I understand, BioWare is like, essentially people from BioWare have come out and spoken about it and talked about how like they would have gone under if not for EA. EA basically like saved them. They threw them a lifeline, and everyone thinks of EA as like this fucking shithole company that just wants to milk every bit of like every dollar from burn. Yeah, they want to watch the world burn. They want to milk every dollar from you as possible. But I mean, obviously it helped them to purchase fucking BioWare, because BioWare fucking came out with Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3. And I mean, Mass Effect 3, people have controversial opinions on it, but they made the Dragon Age games. They've made some amazing fucking games.
Yeah.
and now they're gonna come out with Anthem, which everybody is really. I mean, we talked about this actually the other night, that you specifically and other people are very worried to see what happens with Anthem and kind of EA's predatory practices.
I hope it's good. I mean, I really hope it's good because it looks awesome, but you never know.
I think it's going to be great. I mean, there was a story that came out like this week about how BioWare is focusing on the story aspects of Anthem instead of trying to make it more about like microtransactions, I guess, for the most part. Trying to make it less of a games as a service game and make it more of a great game, which I think is really good, because games as a service games, I don't see them going well right now, to be honest. So like Destiny 2, games as a service game, and it seems like every time Bungie tries to fix something, they end up kind of fucking it up, royally.
It feels like they're just put under such a microscope, you know?
Yeah. People are expecting it to be like fucking amazing, and it ends up like it coming shy, and everyone's just shits all over it.
Well, because, I mean, when Destiny came out, they were like, you could play this game for 10 years. And it came out, and this is the first one, and it came out, and it was like, wow, I'm bored, and I've played this game for 4 hours.
Yeah, the roadmap was supposedly to continue with the original game for the next decade, and then, yeah, we all saw how that went. I don't know. I'm still a big fan of Destiny. I'm excited for the War Minds DLC that's going to come out soon. I think within the next, 2 months. I really love the lore. I mean, people really love the gameplay. Like, I know you and our friend Forrest really enjoy the gameplay, but I'm mostly just about the story and the lore, which I feel like they did a good job with, for the most part, in, oh, man. I kind of forgot what it's called. Something Osiris.
Trials?
No.
Oh, the DLC.
Yeah, in Destiny 2, they made the... Fuck, I'll remember it eventually. Like, being a big Destiny fan, I can't believe that I can't remember what the fucking first DLC for Destiny 2 is called. Yeah, it's just gonna piss me off. I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
Don't do that. Don't do it, Vaughn. Don't do it.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna happen. But I'm excited to see where it goes. And Anthem, I hope it stays more like... I hope they just try to make a quality game instead of trying to make the most money that they can. Because it's not going to work. Like, people are very weary to play EA games now because of this whole microtransaction fiasco that happened with Star Wars Battlefront 2. And people are still really, freaking out about it because they came back this week. And everyone's like, what the fuck's going to happen, kind of a thing? Is this still going to be basically a pay-to-win scenario? So I'm excited to see what happens with Anthem. I think it looks really good.
Yeah.
I mean... Look like fucking Iron Man. That's pretty dope.
And that's kind of what I'm excited about the most is, man, I want to be Iron Man.
Yeah, there's been jokes made that God of War is playing Thor and Anthem is playing Iron Man.
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
that's kind of weird. Didn't even think about that until somebody brought it up, and I was like, oh, okay. It was Tim Geddes from Kinda Funny, and I was like, whoa. Didn't even think about that. That's weird.
Wow, Tim Geddes from Kinda Funny actually said something interesting.
I love that we're not... I will come out and just say, I don't think he's not either of our favorite person from Kinda Funny. But yeah.
But in the same sentence, how do you hate anyone from Kinda Funny?
Yeah, they're pretty amazing. They're fantastic people.
I think they are.
Some
people probably don't.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to come across somebody who doesn't like their stuff.
Well, I've noticed this, that a lot of Rooster Teeth fans really dislike them,
which is kind of weird. Yeah, now that they're part of the Let's Play family,
I think what it is
Rooster Teeth fans don't like them.
Is you have to admit Greg's kind of obnoxious.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could see people thinking he's an acquired taste, but he's just like fucking everybody from Rooster Teeth could be an acquired taste, but they work well together. That's why I like Kinda Funny.
I think that's us though, is we think that, but everyone there is I've looked through the I can't even fucking think of the word. The comment section of the videos that Greg's been in, and a lot of people were like, "Man, I'm surprised Greg didn't take off his shirt." And man, I fucking hate Greg. He's so obnoxious. It's like, dude, he's really funny. Just calm down.
Yeah, I think it's kind of weird that everybody hates that he takes off his shirt.
I think it's funny.
It's like, okay, yeah, it's like it's a bit. It's a whole thing. He takes off his shirt and he freaks out. It's kind of whatever. It's hilarious. The shirtless Spider-Man thing.
What people don't understand, man, is you just gotta commit.
Yeah.
To the bit.
That's your fucking Curse of Osiris. That's what it's called. The Curse of Osiris. That's the DLC's name.
Curse of Batman.
Nope, it's Curse of Osiris. Not the Curse of Batman.
Of the Wayne family.
I don't know where you're going with this. Are you trying to segue this into Batman: The Enemy Within or something like that?
Nah, dude. I just wanted to let you know that I just got my first 6-star in Idle Heroes. Yep.
You brought up Batman so that you could brag about your Idle Heroes characters?
No, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying.
That's essentially what bragging is.
No, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying.
You're just saying?
I'm just saying.
All right, cool. So it seems like this one is going to be a short episode. Because that was basically every topic I had.
Oh, wow. We are great hosts.
I know, right?
Well, actually, I
mean, for an hour and we got 36 minutes.
I didn't bring anything up, so can't talk any shit.
It's cool. I mean, yeah, we got almost 40 minutes out of this. I enjoyed it. It's a good podcast. I actually been listening to Putting in Work, and it's a really, really good podcast. It's like an interview podcast, but his podcast, like, times, they range. So, like, his first episode, I think, was, like, maybe 30 minutes. His second episode was, like, 13 minutes kind of a thing. Like, it just depends, because he has an interview podcast. So, he just basically does his interview, and however long it takes to get this done is how long his podcast is. And I thought I don't know, that's kind of admirable. I really like that.
Yeah? It's like when it's done, it's done.
Yeah, instead of trying to milk something for all it's worth, yeah, it's when it's done, it's done. That's kind of my approach to most things. Like, trying to be a writer is I make characters and everything, and I was actually told by somebody, they're like, dude, you know that you can actually, like, you can write a story and you can make it into something bigger. Like, you can have sequels and you can do all this. And I'm like, no, the story I write is the story I write. Once it's done, it's done. I might make small hints to it in other stories, but once it's done, it's done. I don't want to, like, ruin my characters or story by trying to build on it. See, which sounds so weird.
Now that we're kind of talking about this is also something we can talk about. Is I too have, like, been coming up with, like, characters, you know, for, like, a book and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I'm bending down if my mic is reaching extreme levels. But I'm also, like, in the process of, like, quote, writing a book, but my favorite part about writing a book is making the characters. And I've kind of made a few characters that, and I don't know if this would be an interesting writing style, and I want you to tell me, that I want this, like, range of the same few characters to show up in most of the books, but, like, be a different person in each, not different person, but, like, not have the books link, you know?
Yeah, I could see that working out for you. So, are you talking about character like archetypes, or are you talking about literally the same character?
I'm talking, like, literally the same characters.
No, that'd be super interesting. Yeah, it's the same characters showing up in different scenarios, but never seems like any of the things beforehand ever existed.
Yeah. And the reason I do that is because I have a couple characters that I just find so fascinating that I've, like, you know, quote, thrown together. And there's a couple of them that's like, man, that guy's like, that's a cool thought right there, you know?
Yeah, that's what you gotta enjoy about, like the Twilight Zone or Black Mirror. These are all, like, random one-off stories, and none of them connect, with the exception of, I'm not gonna ruin anything, but apparently Black Mirror ends up connecting in some way. But it's just stories. Like, it doesn't need to be together to be in a series. Like, they're just stories.
Yeah.
I think that's admirable. I think it's a good way to write.
I like it. It's an interesting thing.
I mean, that way you're not always worried about it. Like, some things get dragged on far too long. I don't know necessarily why. Maybe it's just make money, or maybe it's because the writer wants to like play with these characters, but then they're now they're stuck writing based on that original timeline.
And kind of like that is I like these characters, but like you're saying, I don't want to write a story that just like gets really old.
Yeah,
or just
it's like
really
fucking
repetitive. So if I could just keep using these characters throughout this, I don't know, this quote universe that I wanna build, I think it'd be quite an interesting subject.
Yeah, I mean, to bring it back to kind of funny, it's kind of like how Greg always says to blow up continuity. If you want to make something in one universe, make it there and make it yours, and then you can write it in a different one. Just because they exist together doesn't mean that they have to be part of each other.
Yeah, and that it's a really interesting subject.
Yeah. I'm excited to see how this all turns out. I think that's a really cool way to write something, is to make a few characters that show up everywhere. It kind of reminds me of, there's these two police officers that show up throughout like a bunch of different comic books, and it's like artists essentially like putting these two police officers in all of their like comics, and they show up in TV like in Scooby-Doo, but then they show up in like Batman and just all sorts of weird shit, and they just exist there. Nobody fucking says anything about it. They're just always there.
Like
it's
Taco,
super weird. Yeah, they just
like Taco and
yeah.
Bell.
Yeah, they just like
Do you
show
know what
up.
I'm talking about?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Taco and Bell.
Taco and Detective Taco, Detective Bell, in the kind of funny cinematic universe.
Oh yeah, in one of their shorts, they're watching like I think it's in one of the animated episodes. They're watching that TV show.
Man, I don't know if anyone has figured out before, but we're really big fans of Kind of Funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird. I've been donating, or I guess like basically just on Patreon for a long time, but I'm totally willing to give somebody my money, but I actually don't participate in communities all that often. Like you were talking about how you're involved in a lot of communities in one of our previous episodes, and I'm really not. Like, I'll give feedback on occasion, but for the most part, like, I'll just essentially give them my money and then sit back and like listen. I don't interact all that often.
Yeah, and I like interacting, but I like interacting like when it works, you know? I don't really like shoving myself into something.
Yeah, you want to speak up when you have an opinion, not feel like you have to have an opinion on everything.
Yeah, and I think it's a good way to go about being in a community.
Yeah, you don't always have to be involved.
Yeah, you don't always have to be involved, but if you want to be, you can.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Hopefully that'll eventually happen. Fucking guidelines for the community that may or may not form around Fanboy Talks. Do whatever the fuck you want. We don't care. Be good to each other, and that's about it.
Yeah. That should be the law of the land, really. Be good to each other.
Yeah. It's almost never gonna happen.
But it's not. It's definitely not the law of the land.
Yep. Everything's...
People are really mean. But what are we gonna do?
You pretty much... You wrung me out now. I got nothing more for you guys. Get out of my face. Podcast over. I'm done.
We wrunged you out, huh?
Yep. It's
Nope.
just like how you milked yourself last week. It's fucking... You guys rang me out like a fucking dish towel. I'm done.
One more thing I do want to talk about, though, is Battlefield 4. I just want to talk about that for a minute. That game is so great.
It's a fantastic game. I think definitely Battlefield 1 was a regression. I don't think it made... I don't think it improved on the formula, improved on the franchise of Battlefield. I think Battlefield 4 was fantastic. And I'm excited to see what happens with
Bad Company 3.
Yeah, whatever they're gonna do, Bad Company 3 or
I've heard
fairly
it's
certain
Bad Company
that
3. I'm not 100% guaranteeing it. So
yeah, I think it's rumored to be Bad Company 3, but I'm excited to see what happens. Supposedly news came out this week that they're trying to work on like the Battle Royale system to put it in Battlefield, but it more than likely won't be in this year's Battlefield, or it won't show up until like later on in that game's lifespan, so as like additional DLC. But I'll buy that DLC. That'd be fucking cool.
I think it'd be cool too, but I think that if they don't do it now, they're really gonna miss it out on it.
Yeah, I mean, I want them to just, if they're gonna do it, take their time to make it.
Don't rush.
Don't just fucking throw it in and make it be this glitchy, shitty mess. I mean, I don't know how hard it is to make a Battle Royale game, but Battlefield, like, from what I understand, a big issue with the whole, like, Battle Royale scene and how they develop these games is having, all these people on at the same time, being able to do all this, and Battlefield has huge queues of players. Like,
Yeah,
it's
so, I mean,
massive.
they're already kind of there, but just a little bit different in a way.
Yeah, you just have to change it, like tweak it a little bit. So if there's anybody who can make an amazing battle royale, like triple A battle royale game, it'll definitely be, fuck.
Dice.
Yeah, Dice. I kept thinking like Frozen or whatever, but it's because of their
Frostbite engine.
Yeah, Frostbite engine. Yeah, I kept it totally threw me off. Yes, Dice.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Dice fucking makes Battlefield.
Yeah, I just think that, man, like I literally before I was having technical difficulties, I was playing Battlefield 4, and it's like, dude, this game is so good.
Battlefield
like,
4
even
is
when,
fantastic.
our buddy Forrest was playing. Me and him were playing, and it was like we're literally just messing around with shotguns and stuff, and we're just having a blast, man.
Yeah,
Like, it
crazy
doesn't
shit
make any
happens in
sense.
Battlefield 4.
We're riding around on the ATV.
I wish that it had a little bit more, like, I wish more players were playing it. But overall, yeah, Battlefield 4 was definitely, like, fucking DICE's apex. It was like their magnum opus, and then they just shat out Battlefield 1. And I was like, alright, cool. I can't remove a scope from my gun, even though that's physically possible.
They're like,
alright, I'll just go fuck myself.
There's 12 guns for each class, and you're like, no, it's 3 guns, but one has a scope and the other don't.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can only get that scope off if you play, like, the fucking artillery. Like, if you become a different class entirely. And I'm like, well, I'm just...
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot
Nope.
of sense.
It's not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
I've had some cool matches in Battlefield 1, but none of them will top the ones that we have in Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 is just good. It's fucking good. It's such a great game.
In Battlefield 1 to me, and this is gonna sound fucking weird, but it just felt so easy to me.
Yeah, I don't see how that...
In Battlefield 1, man, I'd go on like 30 kill streaks. In Battlefield 4, I'm like, holy shit, I just killed 4 people. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I play sniper. Like, that's all I do, so I'm pretty lucky if I kill, like, 5 people. Because everybody's like, I'm gonna hide in buildings. And alright, cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Battlefield 4 is you're like, oh, I'm gonna hide in this building. And then there's this helicopter that comes and just shreds the building down. You're like, well, that was fun.
Yeah, you're like, well, that was cool while it lasted. I got 1 kill.
Yeah, that happens, man.
Well, I think that's pretty much it for today. Yeah.
Sorry, I really should start thinking more stuff. Usually I come up with something, but
you're good. Fucking Battlefield 4. Good, some good times to end on.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you, Vaughn, for showing up after my technical difficulties, and thank you to anyone that's finished this and listened to Vaughn talk about.
It's definitely ranting.
Okay, well, yeah, but I mean, thank you guys for being with us.
Yeah, thanks. Have a great day.